The Assembly is now in session. Assembly Member Allen notices the absence of a quorum. The Sergeant at Arms will prepare the chamber and bring in the absent members. The clerk will call the roll.
Ashajian, Alejo, Allen, Amiano, Atkins, Bell, Berryhill, Block, Blumenfield, Bonilla, Bradford, Brownlee, Buchanan, Butler, Calderon, Campos, Carter, Cedillo, Chesbro, Conway, Cook, Davis, Dickinson, Donnelly, Ing, Fuhr, Fletcher, Fong, Fuentes, Furutani, Gaines, Galgiani, Garrick, Gatto, Gordon, Gorell, Grove, Hagman, Halderman, Hall, Harkey, Hayashi, Hernandez, Hill, Huber, Weso, Huffman, Jeffries, Jones, Knight, Lara, Logue, Lowenthal, Ma, Mansour, Mendoza, Miller, Mitchell, Monning, Morrell, Destande, Nilsson, Norby, Olson, Pan, Perea, V. Manuel Perez, Portantino, Silva, Skinner, Smythe, Solorio, Swanson, Torres, Valadeo, Wagner, Wykowski, Williams, Yamada, Mr. Speaker.
A quorum is present. We ask our guests and visitors in the rear of the chamber and in the gallery to please stand for the prayer. We ask our Assembly Chaplain, Father Constantine Papadimos, to offer the day's prayer.
Let us pray. Lord, blessed are you, the God of all generations. Your name has been praised and glorified throughout the ages. Help us, Lord, to discover a new way of looking at life, one that turns away from the drumbeat of self-centeredness and toward a life filled with service to others and selfless benevolence. Following your path through life, Lord, comes with no small amount of effort, but also with your blessing. Guide us on our every step along the way to you. Amen.
We ask our guests and visitors to remain standing and ask Assemblymember Gordon to lead us in the pledge. Mr. Gordon. You may be seated. Reading of the previous day's journal.
Assembly Chamber, Sacramento, Thursday, January 5, 2002. The Assembly met at 10. Honorable Fiona Moss, Speaker Pro Tem of the Assembly presiding. Chief Clerk E. Dawson Wilson at the desk. Reading Clerk Timothy Moreland reading. The roll was called. Ashajian, Alejo, Amiano, Atkins, Bell, Berryhill, Block, Blumenfield, Bonilla, Bradford, Brownlee, Buchanan, Butler.
Mr. Allen moves and Ms. Conway seconds that the reading of the previous day's journal be dispensed with. Presentations of petitions, there are none. Introduction and reference of bills will be deferred. Reports of committees will be deemed read and amendments deemed adopted. Messages from the governor, there are none. Messages from the Senate, there are none. Motions and resolutions. The absences for the day will be deemed read and printed in the journal. Mr. Allen, you are recognized.
Madam Speaker, I request unanimous consent to suspend Assembly Rule 45.5 to allow Assemblymember Grove to have guests and photographers on the floor.
Without objection.
Madam Speaker, I request unanimous consent to suspend Assembly Rule 45.5 to allow Assembly members Block, Conway, Gordon, Hageman, Lara, Lowenthal, Nielsen, Skinner, and Torres to speak on adjourned in memory today.
Without objection. Okay, we have some guests here today. Ms. Atkins.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I would like to ask my colleagues to welcome some constituents from my district in San Diego here today. We have a colleague and constituent, former Howard Wayne, is here, also professor, along with Professor Pat Libby and a number of students from USD. And they try to get up here once a year to see what we're doing, and today's an interesting day to be here, obviously. And so we just want to welcome them. They're in the gallery up here today. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Grove, do you have guests to announce?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Colleagues, I would like to introduce Sean Battle. He's a community activist and a dear friend from the city of Bakersfield. He's the executive director of Stop the Violence, as well as a partner with Project 180 and associate pastor at St. John's Missionary Baptist Church. He's dedicated his life to gang prevention and youth intervention, and we've actually had the opportunity to work together in the private sector. We've established small businesses that we allow participants that go through the program at our successful to run these small businesses so that they learn how to create jobs and to be productive members of society and owning your own business. And he's a strong leader and a compassionate friend, and his beautiful wife is also in the gallery someplace. And so please put your hands together and welcome my dear friend, Sean Battle.
Business on the daily file, there is none. Assembly third reading, there is none. Senate third reading, there is none. We're going to go to adjourn in memories, but we do have a couple of motions. Not everybody is present right now, so members, please do not leave, as we will be taking votes after the adjourn in memories. So the following members were recognized to adjourn in memory today: Mr. Block, Ms. Conway, Mr. Gordon, Mr. Hagman and Ms. Torres, Mr. Lara, Ms. Lowenthal, Mr. Nielsen, and Ms. Skinner. So I see Mr. Block. Mr. Block.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise to adjourn today in memory of Robert Lawrence of San Diego, who passed away on December 15th at the age of 53 after a long and courageous battle with cancer. Robert was born and raised in San Diego, was the son of Larry Lawrence, past owner of the Hotel del Coronado and a former leader in many national Democratic political groups. Bob received both his bachelor's and law degrees from the University of San Diego. He was an influential lawyer, developer, and philanthropist in the San Diego community who made his mark by getting high-profile projects done well while improving our city. As a longtime friend of the family, I knew Bob as a quiet activist, an active listener who was trusted with guidance and counsel among close friends and colleagues. To quote a mutual friend, Murray Gallinson, Robert accomplished a lot, but did it in a quiet way. Very loyal to friends, family, and the San Diego community, he served on the executive board of the Lawrence Family Jewish Community Center, as well as on the boards of Hillel San Diego, the San Diego Symphony, and the Museum of Photographic Arts. In the 33 months after his cancer diagnosis, Mr. Lawrence served as a symbol of life and hope for friends and family, as well as other cancer survivors, by sharing his battle with metastatic melanoma. For all of his accomplishments, the one Bob was proudest of was his family. Bob was truly the consummate family man. Bob is survived by his incredibly strong wife, Lori Black, whom I have known for more than 30 years, a San Diego leader in her own right, currently serving on the Center City Development Corporation Board of Directors, a former port commissioner, and chief of staff to former Congresswoman Lynn Shank. He's also survived by their 4 amazing children, his mother, Geraldine Slesnick, and sisters Leslie Caspi and Andrea Lawrence. He will be remembered for his contributions to our communities and will be dearly missed. I request that we adjourn in the memory of Robert Lawrence. Thank you.
Ms. Atkins.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I would like to join my colleague in recognition of Bob Lawrence, and he has pretty much said everything that I would have wanted to say. I would say what an incredible story for someone who was able in that 33-month period of time to mark some incredible milestones for his family, because for all of those reasons that Assemblymember Block mentioned, his civic leadership, his wife's leadership, it was being a father that he was most proud of. And he was able to survive the 33 months and was able to see his daughter Maddie's bar mitzvah. He was able to see his son Dustin graduate from USC. He was able to see his son AJ get married. And, you know, each and every milestone was important to this family. And I just want to thank you for adjourning in his memory today. It's so important to those of us and my colleagues in the galley. Former Assemblymember Howard Wayne also probably is thrilled to be here today to see this body adjourn in memory of one of our most important civic leaders. Thank you.
Mr. Nielsen.
Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen of the Assembly, I would ask that you indulge in adjourning the memory of Petty Officer First Class Chad Regland. He is from Anderson, California, a young man who was the Student of the Year and Player of the Year in the Anderson football team. He was killed in action on January 2nd in Afghanistan. He helped launch the surf club at that fine school. He entered the Navy in 2008, and I think that probably the greatest testimony of his service and his sacrifice, USO made him Sailor of the Year in 2011 for his heroic actions during his first tour of duty in Afghanistan in August 2010 until March of 2011. He located and destroyed personally 24 IEDs. He trained 13 commando personnel in IED tactics, so they then could also emulate his heroic actions. He fought in more than 20 direct frontline combat battles. A wonderful testimony. He leaves his mother, Shireen, his father, Scott. I've talked to them both. They are grieving, but I assure you, ladies and gentlemen, they do appreciate your sentiments and the adjourning in honor.
Mr. Gordon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I rise today to ask that we adjourn in memory of Agnes Aggie Robinson. Aggie died in September at the age of 92. She had served for 10 years on the Palo Alto Board of Education in the decades of the 60s and 70s. Following her local community service, she came to the state, where she worked at the California Post-Secondary Education Commission and was on the Board of Governors for the California Community Colleges. She also served in the Accreditation Commission for the Western Association of Schools and Colleges. Robinson was born in 1918 in Morristown, New Jersey. She received her bachelor's in English from Radcliffe, and she was a longtime community activist and a good friend of our former member of the Assembly and Senate, John Vasconcellos. Throughout her life, Aggie was known for her personal graciousness and her willingness to listen to others, even when her personal opinions differed sharply. In 1997, she was interviewed and kind of summed up how she saw life. And she said this: "Life isn't fair. You get some good breaks in life and some bad breaks. And what you have to do is plow through the bad breaks and ride on the wave of the good breaks. I think our role, those of us with the good breaks, is to keep working for the good of other people and of the community, and then of our nation. And if you have money, you share it." Agnes Robinson will be missed in Palo Alto for her service, and I request that we adjourn in her memory today.
Ms. Conway?
Thank you, Madam Speaker, members. I rise today to adjourn in the memory of one of our own, Donna Ernest, the longtime Floor Alert editor and Rules Committee consultant for the Republican caucus, who for years sat in the back of these chambers for each and every session, died last night after a long and brave battle with cancer. Before Donna came to the Assembly in 1998, she was a horse trainer, master dive instructor, and a proud mother and a Coast Guard wife, stationed with her husband Mike across the country and in Puerto Rico. She shared her passion for horses with countless individuals, including more than a few of our staff interns and fellows. Donna was a tireless worker as our Floor Alert editor. No one worked longer hours in this building than Donna Ernest, and no one did so with more kind, calm, and caring disposition. Donna worked closely with and counted her Democrat colleagues on the floor staff among her many friends, never allowing disagreements to become disagreeable, and together they did and do much to make the Assembly proceedings run as smoothly as possible. To Donna's colleagues and friends in the Office of Policy and the Republican caucus, her death is a profound loss. She was a dear friend, valued colleague, and coworker, and she used the same light but firm whip that tamed and trained horses on our policy staff to make sure our Floor Alert was always showed up on the floor on time and in the best possible condition. Donna is survived by her husband Mike and her son Scott. Arrangements for services are currently pending, and we'll let everybody know the details when they are completed. But today, I ask that the Assembly adjourn in the memory of Donna Ernest, a truly remarkable woman who gave her heart and soul to this institution and dedicated herself to public service and improving the lives of others. We are truly grateful to have known her and for all of her tremendous efforts, and she will be greatly missed by all.
Ms. Skinner.
Thank you. Members, I ask you to join with me in adjourning in memory for Terry Duran, former school director in Berkeley Unified School District. Terry moved to Berkeley in 1960 to attend school at Cal. He was a very passionate person and was active there in the civil rights movement, the Vietnam War movement, and also in the free speech movement. He remained a social activist throughout his life. He was also a teacher in addition to serving on the school board. He taught in the Berkeley Unified School District, primarily at Berkeley High, for 32 years and was the advisor to Berkeley High School's award-winning newspaper, the Berkeley Jacket. He also started the photography program at Berkeley High and chaired the arts department. He served on the Berkeley School Board from 1998 to 2006, and part of that time he was the school board president. Upon retiring from Berkeley Unified, both the board and his teaching career, he served on the City of Berkeley Zoning Adjustment Board and was a key player in revitalizing Berkeley's downtown and served on the Downtown Area Plan Advisory Committee. We will miss Terry greatly. He is survived by his wife, Lenore, his sons, Colin and Andy, his brother, and 5 grandchildren. So I ask that we adjourn in memory for Terry Duran.
Ms. Torres?
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. I rise to adjourn in memory of the Honorable Senator Ruben S. Ayala. He was a grandson of Mexican immigrant. Senator Ayala was born in Chino on March 6, 1922, and grew up in a segregated community. After graduating from Chino High School, he attended Pomona Junior College, currently known as the Mountain San Antonio College. Senator Ayala had a long career in public service spanning over 24 years. A moderate Democrat from my district, he served in the Senate from 1974 to 1998, and he was the first Mexican American to serve in the upper house since 1911. Senator Ayala's record of community service includes his tenure as a member of the Chino School Board from 1955 until 1962, and as Chino City Councilman from 1962 to 1964. In 1964, he became Chino's first elected mayor and later was elected to the San Bernardino County Board of Supervisors, where he has served as chairman from 1968 to 1972. Among his legislative accomplishments, he co-authored legislation that created the California Conservation Corps, which was signed into law by our Governor, Jerry Brown, in 1976, and puts youths to work in environmental conservation. He was also an accomplished author, writing his autobiography, where he described, among other things, his humble beginnings and the many bills he championed. Friends and family remember him as a pioneer in California politics who exemplified unselfish community service. I remember him as a role model in my community, one whose footsteps I am proud to follow. He passed away on January 4th. He was 89 years old. Senator Ayala is survived by his 3 sons, his 3 grandchildren, and a great-grandchild. Thank you for the opportunity to remember Senator Ruben Ayala.
Mr. Hagman.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, I also rise to adjourn in memory of Senator Ruben S. Ayala. Senator Ayala was a veteran of the United States Marine Corps and served the South Pacific during World War II, the 1st Marine Division. Among his accolades are 2 local parks, a Chino Hills High School and the Rialto Street named in his honor. Serving on the City Council of Chino Hills, I got to meet Senator Ayala and his family on many occasions and graduations at the Chino Hills High School, which my son now actually goes to as a sophomore, a school named in his honor. He's well respected by all local politicians for the bipartisan work he did for Chino Valley, as well as the state. During his time as chairman of the Committee of Overseeing Water Issues, it shows how history repeats itself here. Ayala championed legislation to construct a peripheral canal to carry Northern California water to Central and Southern California. When then Governor Jerry Brown did sign in the law, but was blocked at the ballot box in 1982. I also asked that we, in honor of Senator Ayala's contributions to his country, the state, and our local shared constituents, I also ask that we adjourn his memory today.
Mr. Nielsen.
Madam Speaker, ladies and gentlemen of the Senate and the Assembly, the Senate I slip again, but the Senate's on my mind right now when I think of my friend Ruben. Ruben was another one of those legends that we should remember and respect for his contribution to California. A true gentleman, an unassuming but fierce warrior. A first fierce warrior in many of the island engagements in the Pacific during World War II. And whenever you would talk with Ruben about those experiences, he was typical of his generation, greatly diminishing and downplaying his role in the trauma that he must have endured and experienced. But it helped mold his character, and he was a fierce fighter here in the legislature for those things that he believed in. And one of them was the Peripheral Canal. And I must say, he and I were on very opposite sides of that epic battle. And I guess we could at least say we fought to a draw, although that idea is still around. But I remember all of those committee hearings and his dedication to that idea. And beyond our differences on the canal itself, he was an architect of major water policy in California, and it was an honor to work with Ruben in that respect. A true gentleman, one we will miss. I'm just very humbled, and I express my deepest sympathies to his wonderful family.
Mr. Cedillo.
Members, let me add my voice to my colleagues from the Inland Empire. Members, let me add my voice to my colleagues of the Inland Empire. I actually had the privilege of serving here with Ruben Ayala. He was a quiet giant, very dignified man, a man of courage, conviction, and integrity. It was a different time when he served, and he was a victim of term limits, because clearly everyone here recognizes, but for term limits, he would have remained in office until his heart's desire. He was solely committed to public service, and he was revered in his community, and you hear it from the representatives here. I want to thank him, because when I got here, I didn't come in with a class of new legislators. I came in on a special election. I came from a different field and a different background. I didn't know my way around this building. I didn't have the relationships. I didn't have the friendships. I was sitting in my office one of the first days I got here, and I heard that I had a call from Senator Ruben Ayala. That impressed me. I was excited. I didn't know what to say. I was nervous on the phone. He said, "Hey, young man, why don't you walk down the hallway, come in for a second. I'd like to talk to you." I didn't know what I had done or what I was supposed to do, so I promptly got up like a call to the principal's office and went over to see him. And I sat with him for some time, and he was so gracious. Here was a man who was well established, didn't need a vote from a new, specially elected assembly member, but took time from his day and his work to offer his mentorship, his guidance, his support for someone who was just starting off in a career. And so I'll always be grateful for him. His door was always open. He represented his district and his constituents, but he was always willing to listen to other points of views and to help guide someone like me in a direction that might help me accomplish what I was trying to accomplish. And so I will always be grateful to him. He's a loss for the Inland Empire, he's a loss for this state, and he's a great loss for this nation. I thank you.
Mr. Lara.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. I rise and adjourn in memory of Lidia Arevalo, a tireless caregiver in the cities of Southeast LA County in my district, a loving mother and a friend who lost her battle with cancer December 12th, 2011. Señora Arevalo was born on August 3rd, 1946 in the state of Jalisco, Mexico. She moved to Los Angeles at the age of 19, where she worked in a produce packing center and later as a seamstress. After becoming widowed at the age of 45, she worked full-time at a bridal shop to provide for her family. In her later years, she focused on taking care of her family and also volunteered working on taking care of seniors in our district who were still living independently. She loved to do that work, especially for those seniors that needed so much help and love and attention. Señora Arevalo is survived by her 4 children, Alberto Arevalo, Victoria Arevalo, Irene Arevalo Soto, and Rosa Melissa Arevalo, who she was very proud of, all very accomplished young men and women. Please join me and adjourn in memory of this wonderful individual and great leader in my district. Thank you.
And Ms. Lowenthal.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise to adjourn in memory of Larry Allison. Larry was the elder statesman of Long Beach journalism, a well-known and respected fixture in the Long Beach scene longer than many people here have been alive. 2 mayors and LA County supervisor spoke at his memorial, a gathering that was so big it filled a ballroom in the Long Beach Convention Center. He was a fair and trustworthy newspaperman in Long Beach. For 54 years, he ran the editorial page of the Long Beach Press-Telegram. Larry went to school at Cal State in Long Beach and to the Sorbonne and to Harvard. He knew lawmakers, celebrities, and presidents. He was tall, thin, and stylish, gracious, fair, courteous, and unassuming for someone who had known the glorious heyday of American newspapering. He made a real estate fortune, bought a beautiful home from which he would watch the sunset over the Pacific, enjoyed a long-term marriage, and raised a son to be proud of. But no amount of personal or material success, did I mention his love of exotic cars, his last being a 12-cylinder rocket ship with a Mercedes emblem on the front of it. Nothing he could buy or own could keep him out of the newsroom or off the editorial page. When they told Larry he had lung cancer in the early 1970s, he promised his wife he could beat it. He did. Ultimately, an unexpectedly severe case of pneumonia claimed his life and changed journalism in Long Beach forever. You know, it's not very often that we speak with affection about journalists, but I do for Larry. I'm going to miss him. Thank you.
Thank you, members. Please bring the names to the desk to be printed in the journal. Mr. Bradford, would you like to introduce your guests?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I just want to take this moment to introduce the city councilman from the city of West Hollywood, and he's here with a contingent of local elected officials throughout Southern California representing contract cities. They'll be here for the next 2 days. So Jeff Prang, city councilman from the city of West Hollywood, and the executive board with contract cities of Southern California.
Okay, there are 58 veto messages on the Assembly daily file. In order to expedite the business of the House, the governor's veto message currently on file will be stricken from the Assembly daily file on Friday, January 13, 2012. If you do not wish to have the governor's veto message for your bill removed from the Assembly daily file, ask your staff to please email Tabitha Volgasang of the Speaker's office by the close of business on Wednesday, January 11th. Okay, we are going to take up floor amendments on Friday for file item 62, so we will not be taking up floor amendments today. There are 2 more announcements. Mr. Calderon, you are recognized. Mr. Allen, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. At the request of the authors and pursuant to Assembly Rule 78, please send the following bills to the inactive file. File item 65, AB 356, Hill.
Without objection.
File item 67, SB 419, Semidian.
Without objection, clerk will note.
File item 68, SB 885, Semidian.
Without objection, clerk will note.
Madam Speaker, at the request of the authors and pursuant to Assembly Rule 78, please remove the following concurrence bill from the inactive file. File item A28, AB 41, Hill.
Without objection, clerk will note. Okay, the session schedule is as follows. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, check-in session. Friday, session will be at 9 a.m. Friday, January 13th, floor session at 9 a.m. All other items remaining will be passed and retained. All motions shall be continued. I'm ready to entertain a motion to adjourn. Mr. Allen moves. Mr. Hagman seconds that this House stands adjourned until Friday, January 13th at 9 a.m. Quorum call is lifted.